Hey, Derek here. Longtime viewers on this channel remember Killing Floor as one of my cornerstone games forever ago, alongside Rainbow Six Vegas, Fear Combat, and Halo. But surprisingly, I've never made a video of Killing Floor 1, which is my favorite of the two, by quite some margin. But before I can get into that, I need to thank today's sponsor. Nothing. There is none. So I'll thank my channel members instead. These guys get to see my videos ahead of time. Sometimes a month ahead of time if I'm stockpiling videos to go on vacation like I'm doing right now. If you want to join the channel and get weekly shoutouts as well as early viewership, you can click that join thing right there. It would help me a lot. YouTube's revenue is inconsistent at best. But if you don't want to do that, there's a subscribe button right next to it. Okay, Killing Floor. It's been around longer than you may realize. Yes, the retail version came out in 2009, but it has existed as an Unreal Tournament 2004 mod since 2005. In fact, there's 4 important releases of Killing Floor. The original Killing Floor 1.0 that came out in 2005, this was a lot more survival horror oriented and looks very gritty. There was Killing Floor 2.0 released a year later in 2006, more or less the same but a lot cleaner looking. And then there's the one you're probably thinking about, Killing Floor Retail in 2009. And of course, Killing Floor 2 came out in 2016. That was 7 years ago. Man, it's been a while. Fun fact, it came out a year after Halo 5. I feel like there's this void in time sometime around 2020, and anything before that is just ancient history now. Anyway, the Killing Floor mod wasn't originally made by Tripwire. Tripwire instead bought the mod, and with the assistance of the original mod team, Tripwire would be the new developer. The game was released on May 14th, 2009, after about 3 months of work by a crew of only 10 developers. It instantly became a top-selling game on Steam right after in 2009, and in 2014, Tripwire announced that Killing Floor had sold almost 3 million copies on PC. By May 2019, the Killing Floor series had sold more than 10 million units combined, with total revenues over $100 million US. Needless to say, the acquisition of Killing Floor was the smartest business decision Tripwire could have done. Yes, they already had the Red Orchestra franchise, and that would eventually go on to become Rising Storm Vietnam, but Killing Floor was their cornerstone game. So what's Killing Floor 1 about? What's going on here? Well, there's a company called Horzine making mutants to take over the world. Or something like that. I can't stress enough how much I don't care. It's a co-op survival game. You're playing this to shoot mutants. The one thing I do care about, though, is this.
Time for the shop, let's go for the trader, guys. Wait for me, you wankers. I need some money. I need some dosh.
Good old Gary's Mod videos. A relic of the past. Yeah, these voice actors were incredibly silly and very out of place for the survival horror atmosphere they were going for, but who cares? Everybody loves them. As for visuals, Killing Floor is proof that graphics aren't everything. The engine was outdated on launch, yet everyone loved this game. Now, I'm not saying better graphics wouldn't make the game better, because that's also not true. There's some nuance to that. I just feel like better graphics are more bonus points than the requirement. What Killing Floor 1 did have was good gore. This is an over-the-top zombie game, you have to have some gore. Headshots and giblets were very satisfying. So what's the gameplay about? Why did everybody like this game? At a glance, it just looks like another one of your co-op horde wave-based shooters. But Killing Floor 1 does so much more to make the game not feel repetitive. I also feel very inclined to mention that Killing Floor was one of the first games to do this. The mod came out in 2005. Call of Duty Zombies didn't come out till 2008, just to put that time frame somewhere. One of my biggest complaints with zombie games that would come out after Killing Floor 1 is that zombies are just kind of boring to play against. You may find the concept of them interesting, but if the only thing zombies are doing is running at you and trying to hit you, then that's your whole game, and to me, I just get bored. Killing Floor avoids this in quite a few different ways. The first one is that it kind of embraces its horror elements. Movement is very limited. You don't have a sprint, and you shuffle rather slowly. If you want to move faster, you have to pull out your knife and act like you're walking to the closest bathroom because you just shit your pants. Basically, this means you can't outrun the enemies, and your best tactic is to hold up with your teammates. And the reason you can't outrun your enemies is because there's so much enemy variety. You have the basic Clot. This is a complete non-threat except for the fact that it can grab you and stop you from moving, which can get you killed if there are other enemies around and you're not paying attention. You have the Gorefast, which is like the Clot except for it moves faster and has a blade on its arm. You have the Crawler, which is this human spider abomination. These things pop up anywhere and jump at you, making them erratic targets to shoot. You have the stalkers, which are cloaked enemies, ultimately not too much of a threat. You have bloats, which, as a reminder, this game came out before Left 4 Dead. 3 years before. Yeah, the bloat pukes on you. Makes your screen go all blurry. If you kill it and you're too close, it will explode and also do this. You have the Husk. This enemy has an arm cannon that shoots fireballs at you, so you do have to pay attention to more than just enemies running at you. You have the Siren, which is a deceivingly big threat. They slowly walk around, so they don't seem like they do much, but they scream and do damage to you, and the screaming bypasses your armor entirely. Then you have the Scrake and Fleshpound. These are the two toughest enemies in the game. They both act very similarly. They have a ton of health, and they run at you and try to immediately murder you. These take priority. If these exist, kill them. And then you have a final boss, the Patriarch. Even more health than any of the other enemies, has a chain gun on his arm, and can also shoot missiles. This also allows you to beat the game, so this is a horde game that actually ends. I generally get bored if a game is just reach as far as you can. No, I want some sort of closure, I want a goal. These enemies together can be rather strong, so to balance this out, you can choose between 6 classes, all specializing in certain weapon types and gaining unique bonuses. Each class can be leveled up by completing specific tasks to this class. This gives you something to work towards, but God, I just found leveling these classes more annoying than anything, and you'll see why in a bit. First, let me highlight how awesome the guns are in this game. Yeah, you wouldn't be talking about a Tripwire game without talking about the guns. Even though the Killing Floor 1 engine is rather outdated on launch, the reloading animations are rather smooth, the gun sound effects are awesome, and there's this perfect amount of screen shake to show power behind these weapons. If these guns are strong enough, like the double barrel shotgun, it will even launch you backward a little bit. I can't stress enough how good the gunplay in this game is. And that's really important because that's a cornerstone of a zombie game. Like seriously, if I wanted to focus on all of these weapons, this video would be 2 hours long. There's a lot of guns in this game. Let me kind of go over them by talking about the classes you can choose. Oh, also I'm going to rank these classes from my favorite to least favorite. Sharpshooter specializes in pistols and precision weapons. Gameplay varies between spamming dual-wield deagles or sniping with the 50 cal to focus on heavy units. Leveling Sharpshooter up simply requires you to get headshots with Sharpshooter weapons, whether you're Sharpshooter or not, meaning an easy way to level is to just get headshots with your starting pistol on wave 1. To reach max level, which is level 6 across every class, it's always the same, Sharpshooter requires 8,500 headshots. This will give you 140% headshot damage with perk weapons, plus 50% headshot damage with off-perk weapons, negative 75% recoil with perk weapons, plus 60% reload speed with perk weapons, 70% discount on perk weapons, 42% discount on crossbow ammo, and you spawn with a crossbow. Now, some of these bonuses are kind of universal across every class. You're always going to get a discount on whatever weapons that go for that perk. You're going to get less recoil, just stuff like that. But like I said, I really don't like the idea of having to level up these classes. It's a false way to make you feel like you're progressing. You'll think you're getting better when the advantages simply make the game less hard. Or more accurately, it's a combination of you getting better and you're leveling up. I'm mainly not a fan of leveling because it requires you to grind and just makes you less useful if you haven't played the game as much for reasons out of your control. As for Sharpshooter, dual-wielding pistols is really fun, and also, obviously, a 50 cal sniper is going to be fun in a game like this. If I have to put it on this list, it's tied for 4th or 5th place. Also, I should reiterate, I like all of the classes, so the last place one is just the one I like the least, but still love. Field Medic. This one started as kind of a bad fighter and ended up overpowered. At first it only had this little dinky MP7, but as updates rolled out, it got an MP5, a Vector, an M7A3, and a Bile Thrower. The Medic's main gimmick is that, well, it's a medic. On all medic weapons comes a dart gun that will heal your teammates. When it works. If your teammates are moving and you shoot them with a dart gun, half the time it makes this like concrete puff and nothing happens. So I usually would just tell my teammates to stand still when I tried to heal them. You also will get a medic grenade to replace your regular frag. This medic grenade will make a cloud of healing smoke that will also poison enemies. In order to level up the medic, you need to deal 100,000 points to healing teammates. You don't need to be a medic to level up medic, by the way. As long as you're healing your teammates, you will level your medic class. Everyone comes with their own syringe. just the medic syringe recharges faster. When you reach level 6, you get plus 200% medical syringe recharge speed, plus 75% medical syringe potency, 75% bloat bile resistance, plus 25% movement speed, plus 100% magazine size for perk weapons, plus 87% discount on perk weapons, plus 75% damage resistance with armor, plus 70% discount on armor, and you will spawn with an MP7 medic gun. Now, you can probably see why I said a medic is the most overpowered class. Not only are you designed to heal your teammates, which is how you think a medic would be, sit in the back and play support, but also you're faster, you have better armor, you have good weapons for combat, so what's the downside here? You're just good at healing and fighting. Oh, also you're surprisingly tanky because of the armor. I think at first medic was kind of underpowered and they overbuffed medic. As a result, medic is my favorite class. It's just really fun to zoom around the map and murder everything. Commando! This one is probably the most basic class in the entire game. It's a good fighter, doesn't really do anything crazy, gets access to a bunch of assault rifles and a couple of Tommy guns. There's a couple of unique things that the Commando can do, but nothing too crazy. The first one is that Killing Floor has something called Z time, where occasionally when you get a kill, the game will go slow motion. Commando can extend this Z time, and has a higher chance for this to happen more often. The second ability is that Commando can always see cloaked stalkers. This is very important because you are required to kill 3,600 stalkers. Do you know how long this takes when your teammates have the ability to steal those kills from you? Even if they didn't, it would take forever. This enemy doesn't spawn 24/7. They're not an incredibly rare character, but they're not common. The other requirement to reach level 6 is to do 5,500,000 damage with perk weapons, which I did by the time I was level 3. That's how annoying it is to kill stalkers. As soon as Tripwire removed the restriction saying you couldn't level up your classes on modded maps, I went to a modded training map and grinded out the stalker kills. I don't care, I have no shame, screw that. Anyway, once you reach level 6, it doesn't even give you anything game-changing, it's just more damage with your weapons, deeper magazines, more discount on perk weapons, stuff like that. As a result, I would put it at 6th place. It's fun, just because using the assault rifles in-game is fun, but not anything you haven't done in other games, just better feeling combat than most. Also, I have PTSD from having to kill all those damn stalkers. Support Specialist. This one focuses on shotguns and gets bonus damage with grenades. This is crowd control class, and I cannot stress how good shotguns are in this game. They sound loud, they push you back when you fire them, they have lots of range. Shotguns are probably the best thing in the whole game. Leveling gains you bonuses like the standard cheaper perk weapons and more damage with perk weapons, but also gives your shots more penetration through enemies, more carrying capacity, and faster welding speed. That's your requirement for leveling up. Dealing damage with perk weapons and deal points of welding. This isn't difficult as welding doors is very useful. You can't outrun enemies, so choosing a spot to hold out and welding doors is a good strategy. No matter the class you are, you'll level up support by welding. However, it's very useful to have a support as they weld doors much faster and have some of the best crowd control ability in the game. To reiterate, Killing Floor shotguns are nuts! There is nothing more satisfying than laying a mag of AA-12 into a mutant. Second place, Berserker, the melee class. Pretty straightforward class in concept. You have a melee weapon, you hit mutant. Leveling simply requires you to do damage with perk weapons. Bonuses for leveling include pretty standard stuff like cheaper perk weapons in the shop, faster attack speed with perk weapons, damage resistance, faster movement speed with melee weapons, you can't be grabbed by clots, and the ability to extend Z time just like Commando. This class has been given a lot of variety over the years, and it's all from its unique weapons. Berserk went from getting weapons like the basic axe to getting a battle axe that launches enemies backwards when you hit them, or straight up jibs them with a heavy attack. Oh, and you also got the buzzsaw bow, so the Berserk has their own ranged weapon. And the saws bounce off walls. I'm not usually a melee class fan, but Berserk is really fun in this game. I think it's tied for 4th and 5th place. Demolitions Expert does exactly what you think it does. Deals damage with explosives. Leveling up requires doing explosive damage. Bonuses involve explosives doing more damage, being able to carry more explosives, and gaining explosive resistance. That said, you will still hurt yourself with explosives if they're up close, so you do need to either have an off perk weapon or carry an M4203, something like that. I don't dislike this class, it is still fun, but it's definitely my least favorite. I don't know what it is about it, it just never really was quite as fun as the others. Last but not least, Firebug. Yes, fire! I would not be biased there at all. The Firebug's main role is crowd control. Leveling up requires doing fire damage. Surprising, I know. On top of doing the basic more damage with perk weapon style upgrades, other bonuses include more fuel capacity for flamethrower, more range for the flamethrower, and 100% fire resistance. Your grenades are also replaced with incendiary grenades. Weapons for the Firebug are really interesting. They range from weapons like the MAC-10 and trench gun using incendiary ammo, to flare revolvers, to one of the fireball launchers off the husk enemy, to the more expected flamethrower. To nobody's surprise, I find fire fun in video games. This one's third place. To reiterate, all of these are really fun. They're all pretty balanced within each other for teamwork. I definitely know people that chose one class and picked that as their main, so to say. I don't really get it. I would prefer to use all the guns and all classes in the game, but, you know, have fun. The general format of Killing Floor 1 is, of course, wave-based, but in between every wave, you have the option to go to the shop. Here you can buy higher tiered weapons, and if any teammates had died, they will respawn during this time. You get a chance to regroup and prepare for the heavier hitting enemies that will spawn the next wave. When I say heavier hitting enemies, I don't mean the enemies get more bullet spongy, I mean more things like say Strakes and Fleshpound spawn instead of Clots and Gorefast. This is a big reason why I'm not a fan of COD Zombies. I just don't like the style. You literally can't beat it without doing an Easter egg ending. It goes on forever. Every enemy gets more bullet spongy every wave. I know you can go to the Pack-a-Punch machine, but it just makes the game less fun to me. Also in Killing Floor 1, you have access to the entire map right away. This is way better in my opinion. It lets me explore the entire map, and the progression is instead tied to if you can hold out and beat the Patriarch. I think it's fair to say that objectively Killing Floor has deeper gameplay mechanics than Call of Duty Zombies, which shouldn't be a surprise. Literally the entire game is based around this horde mode compared to a side mode in Call of Duty. In fact, I would say that Killing Floor spoiled me so much that it's the reason why I don't like Call of Duty Zombies. As a reminder, Killing Floor existed 3 years as a mod before Call of Duty Zombies. Killing Floor also had a ridiculous amount of content, because this, whether they realize it or not, was kind of the first game as a service. Saying games as a service may make you groan and hate everything nowadays, but Killing Floor was supported with so much content for free. At least mostly for free. There were some weapon packs you had to buy, but for the most part, these were pretty cheap, and with all the free content we got, I was fine with buying them. Especially since the base game wasn't full price. I mean, every season came with an update that had new skins for enemies, came with new maps, came with new guns, and occasionally Killing Floor would get tie-ins with other games like Portal. And best of all, this came from a time where devs actually thought that mod tools and mod support was mandatory. Boy, do I miss that. This was a time before publishers would send cease and desist orders to their fans just because they liked their game and wanted to make a mod. And Tripwire went all in on this, and they should know they started as modders before Tripwire ever was a thing. I'm not saying Tripwire is a role model of a company, but this should be the bare minimum. That should be the standard. As a result, you had endless maps to play. You had alternate game modes if you wanted to find them. Occasionally, a mod gun pack will find its way into the base game. That's where the M7A3 came from, and a few others. I believe it was called the IJC mod pack at one point, and then Tripwire just polished it up and put it out into the game. There is a lot more I could rant about. Killing Floor 1 is easily one of my favorite co-op games of all time, and I still occasionally go back to play it. Over 10 years later. I actually like it quite a bit more than Killing Floor 2, but that's a topic for another day. If you want to see that video, tell me in the comments. I'm not sure I want to make it. Big thanks to everyone that joined me over on Twitch when I stream. You can follow my Twitch by clicking that link right over there. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I tweet quite a bit. My tag is Jarek_Dragon. You can see it right down over there. Thank all of you for watching. I'll see you next time.